Hello and welcome to this video about smart objects. So smart objects are another method of ensuring that we do non-destructive editing. And so what's really nice about smart objects is basically they maintain an equality, sort of the resolution, no matter if you make them larger or smaller. It basically sort of saves that file sort of off, I could say off camera, sort of off to the side. And then, like I said, if you make any changes to it, it still has that original. So what we've got here is you can just open this up. So if you sort of right click on this and then go just open, and it will ask you to open it and put it into Photoshop. We've just got a few things here. And so you've got some text. And the one thing that you'll notice is that right here, there's this little logo. That is the Smart Objects logo. The trick here is, and I don't know if I can do it too well, you can see it's actually a vector, which we'll talk about with Illustrator quite a bit. If I made it smaller and I made it larger, and then let me just move this out of the way here. Oh, I don't like this. There we go. And then you said okay, and then you made it smaller again, and then you said okay, and then made it bigger again, and so on. What you'll see here is nothing, it's not losing any resolution at all. It's just as clean and clear as it was originally. If I come over here, and so it is a smart object at the moment, and I rasterize the layer. So you can see here this convert to smart object and a rasterize layer. If I rasterize the layer and then do the same thing, and so I'll say okay, and then make it really big, I might have to stretch it up. And you can already see, even just with that little bit, we've lost our resolution. And notice here we've lost this logo. So the smart objects, like I said, if you're going to resize, you're going to do things with it. If you do not save it as a smart object, you're going to lose resolution. So I'll just put it back to where it was. And like I said, if we brought in an image, it would be the same thing. Text is just easier to see that problem. So if I go back here and we grab this image, copy, and go back to Photoshop, and I don't know, paste it into a new layer, I guess, just make sure this is clicked. Okay, Control V. So that's interesting. I guess it's a really big picture, that's why. I'm going to make sure that I first thing create a smart object there. So if I well, I guess I have to say, okay, where is it? Usually it shows me that it's okay, it's in here. Okay, there we go. Convert to smart object. So I'm going to convert it to smart object first, and you can see that it does that little thing. And then I can sort of, I guess, change its size, because I guess it's so huge here. Where is it? I'm sure there it is. I was getting worried there for a second. Okay, so there is my image, and let's just say I wanted to place it there and maybe put it in the background or something like that somewhere. I don't know where. I'm just trying to get it in behind, something like that. Is that behind the pink? Yeah, whatever. I mean, maybe that looks kind of cool there. But the key thing is that as a smart object, if I resize it, I'm not going to have any problems, with losing resolution. Like I said, if I don't save it as a smart object, you're going to end up with it getting pixelated, especially if you change its size quite a bit. So yeah, so like I said, we converted to a smart object. Now, I'll skip that for a second with this, but it says, when would you not use a smart object? You might be saying, well, why don't we always use it as a smart object? And the reason is the file size can get quite large because, again, it's saving this original file. And so you can end up with really large Photoshop files. Maybe not a big deal, but perhaps that would be something to worry about. The other thing is that some filters, some things don't work with a smart object. You have to rasterize it, just like I did, showed you previously there. So that is a possibility. Okay, so you can see here, like I said, just choosing rasterize that layer, and then you're able to do things with it. Now, let me just take this one. So I think I can open up, copy the image. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open it up. It's going to open it up with Illustrator. So this might take a second. Oh, that's a new thing on Illustrator. I haven't seen that before. And once that's opened up, I apologize for the delay here. Okay, it's opening on my other screen. I'll just bring it over. All this is a little logo here. So again, what I'm going to do is, it should be selected. So I think, let's make a little box around it. I'm going to copy it. And then we'll paste it into Photoshop. Where is my Photoshop here? I guess Control V. And when it does that, it opens up this little paste box here. And so you can do it as pixels, you can do it as a smart object, you can do it as a path, a shape layer. I'm going to set that as a smart object, as like I mentioned. And so then it will come in as a smart object, and then you're able to place it wherever you want in your scene. And again, it's got that little logo there as well. Now, the one thing that you can do, as sort of mentioning there, is if you could double click on it, you can actually go, and it should open it up into Photoshop, or sorry, Illustrator in this case. Let me see if I'm doing that right. So if you need to remove it, right, you can click on that, okay? Right, so if you double click on the smart object, and it will open in the original program, and then you can actually create a different version of it, or whatever the case is, okay? So like that was supposed to be a white version, sort of instead of the black. So again, if I go to Photoshop there, and let's just find it in my layers. There it is. Let me try double clicking on it. And there we go. And you can see it open it up into Photoshop here, or sorry, Illustrator. And then I could go in, and I guess I could change the colors on this. I guess the fill. I'm forgetting how to use Photoshop here, or Illustrator here. Sorry, let's just try this. It's all selected. Change that to white perhaps. Yeah, so that's all changed to white. And now I think if I save it here, okay, if I go back into Photoshop, it has not saved it here. There is some way to get it to go across. Just hold 1 second. So I did get it to work here. It sort of changed it all to white. And what I did have to do is basically, so that was my original. I made a copy of it. So I'll go back and do this here. So let me just delete this one. So what I did is I just right-clicked on here, I guess, over on the side, and then made sure I duplicated this layer, duplicate the layer. I double-clicked on the duplicated layer, which is where now? Just a second. Try that again. Oh, duplicate the layer. Okay. So there's duplicated that layer, and then double-clicked on that. It opened it up in Illustrator. I did already make the change there, so I just swapped this from black to white. And if I wanted to, I could change the stroke color too. I'll just make the stroke a different color there. Maybe more of a pinky color somewhere, whatever. I'm not going to worry too much. Maybe pink's over here. There's more of a pink. Okay, so I did that, and then I saved it, file save. And then theoretically, that will have transponded over to here. And then I've got that there, okay? Now I have another one, I guess, because I duplicated it. I can get rid of one, and there we go. Okay, so depending on what you want to do, I mean, smart objects are very useful. You can, like I said, you can actually bring other images in if there's smart objects. I guess I didn't open that up in a Photoshop, but you could have another Photoshop file and then be able to refer to that as well. Okay, so just another little technique, really, in terms of maintaining quality of your images, and that's by using the, the smart objects.